Namaste and welcome back to Awaken Living with Nibodhi. Today we are going to journey into one of the most intimate, one of the most human, and one of the most transformative experiences of all, and one of the most misunderstood emotional landscapes we can experience. Grief. Yeah, grief. This episode is deeply personal for me. Because grief has not only been one of the most difficult passages of my life, it has also been the most alchemical. If you're in the midst of loss or emotional pain right now, or carrying emotional weight that's hard to name, I want you to know you're not alone. And there's a deeper meaning waiting to be revealed through the pain, through the heartbreak. I want you to know that grief has shaped me. It's broken me open. It's asked me to surrender in ways I could never have imagined. And in that surrender, when I was finally able to surrender, it transformed me. So before we dive deep into this, let's breathe together. Let's take a few breaths together. Inhale. And exhale, letting it go. Becoming present. Tuning into the body, tuning into your heart. Inhale again. And hold it for a second and just be with what is. And then slowly let it go. Relaxing into this moment. Meeting this moment without resistance. I'll tell you, there was a time in my life when I did everything I could to avoid grief. I filled that space with work, with overwork, with sex, with alcohol, with any distraction I could, anything that could keep the pain at bay, because suffering sucks. But those emotions don't go away. They don't disappear no matter how much we repress, suppress, depress them. They go underground and they wait. They're in hiding and they wait to rear their ugly head in our most vulnerable moments. Grief was a problem to be solved, something to get past, to override with productivity or these numbing comforts. And in truth, society reinforces this message all the time. Be strong, move on, don't dwell on it. But in Ayurveda and Vedic psychology, unpressed emotions, unprocessed emotions are called samskaras. They're mental impressions. They're a residue that influence our thought, our health, our behavior. And like seeds, in the right time, these samskaras sprout. And they sprout in not so nice ways. They're not making beautiful organic in-season fruit. They form anxiety, they form numbness, they form chronic tension and disconnection from our true self. What Ayurveda and Vedic psychology invite us to do is see and move and be in a more sacred way. In these systems, emotions and grief is not random and it's not a problem. They're energy. They're just energy in motion. It's unprocessed energy. It's unprocessed emotion. And every emotion, every single thought, every emotion has a purpose, a dharmic purpose that's actually a messenger. It's not a malfunction of life. It's a messenger trying to get us closer to the truth of who we are. So in my own life, I made the decision to stop running. There's a mystic musician, poet, Bob Marley, who said, you're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can never run away from yourself. So at some point, I had to sit with my own grief and to feel all the different layers of that, all the different textures. And I came to asking, finally, after so much suffering, where does this grief live in me and what is it trying to actually teach me? And at that point, that's when the healing begins. That's when the healing began. And what I discovered was that the more I would try and outrun the pain, the sadness, the grief, the more it shaped me into hidden ways. Stress, anxiety, inability to feel joy. But in my unique constitution, that mostly manifested as external anger. I was pissed off at the world. I was pissed off at my parents. I was pissed off at my school and my teachers, at the government. Whatever I could be pissed off at, I was. And what that ultimately did was created emotional numbness. that was there to dull the pain, because the adrenaline from being angry was so much nicer than just feeling the pain. But that created physical tightness in my chest, in my stomach, in my liver. The liver is the seat of anger. I would get pain in the liver. I came to yoga by divine grace. I came to yoga. I came to Ayurveda. I came to so many different healing techniques. But in yogic psychology, it teaches us that emotions aren't the problem. They're not the problem to be solved. They're energies to be integrated. And grief is not dysfunction. There's a sacred process to it. It's a process of reorganization. It's a call to deepen into who we are. And it wasn't until I really made the decision to sit with my grief without trying to fix it, I began to really look at myself. It was a conscious decision, and that changed everything. That shift, what yoga calls avidya, ignorance, to viveka, discernment, clarity. I began to see grief as that something wasn't wrong with me. There was something sacred rising within me. And thanks to a few great yoga teachers and masters, I learned to breathe and to breathe into it and to be with it. But grief has a purpose. Grief speaks through our body long before it forms words in our mind. And one of the things that I noticed when I actually sat with it, without judgment, without criticism, without it having to be good, bad, right, or wrong, without me having to be right, it wasn't just a single emotion. There were so many layers to it. And even I'm still working stuff out. Childhood traumas, they come up. They come up all the time. Now I'm aware of them. Sometimes it creates a tightness in my chest. Sometimes an ache in my gut. Sometimes a constriction in my throat. Sometimes it's tears that have been held back for decades. But there's a presence now. There's an awareness now, thanks to yoga, thanks to Ayurveda, thanks to compassionate inquiry. Through the lens of Ayurveda, I was able to relate to these through my doshic constitution, through me being a pitta, having the anger. Or if you're vata, instability, anxiety, insomnia. If you're a kapha, attachment, this tamasic depression. So I found that the solution is to have presence, is to be grounded in the present moment, to be grounded in compassion for myself, to have empathy, to have warmth, and to do nourishing routine things. But most importantly, to breathe. Breath is the anchor. Breath became my anchor. I learned to breathe slowly, intentionally, consciously. And that really allowed me to have the space for emotion with every breath. Now, when I was taught to breathe, I was taught to do Vedic mantras, Soham, Hamsa, I am that, I am one with that. And that's understanding the nature of the self through the breath. And I began to relax and I began to breathe into that. You can do this. You can do Soham or Satnam, some Vedic mantra, but you can also do it in whatever language you speak. You can breathe and affirm with each breath, I can hold this. I can be with this. I am safe. I am not my grief. I am aware of grief, but I am not my grief. I can be with this grief. I am safe. I am held. I am loved. I am seen. I'm okay. It's okay to just be okay, and sometimes it's okay to not be okay. But breathing and having awareness of the breath, mindful breath, changes everything. Breathe and everything changes. I'm very excited to share with you Real Mushrooms, the sponsor of the Awakened Living podcast. I use their mushrooms every single day because they've genuinely changed my life. I trust them because they have 50 years of expertise and use 100% organic mushrooms, 0 grains, 0 fillers, which are found in most common mushroom products on the market. They use just real, organic, clinically tested mushrooms. Every morning, I use lion's mane to sharpen my thinking. I use cordyceps to give me the clean energy I need for the day. I use chaga to strengthen my immune system. And when stress hits, and it does, I use reishi to bring me back to center. With their products, you actually feel the difference. Through the end of March, Real Mushrooms gives Awakened Living with Nibodhi podcast listeners 25% off their entire first order. Use the code AWAKEN25 at checkout to get 25% off your first purchase. You can find their link in the show notes or visit nibodhi.com/mushrooms to get yours today. In Ayurveda, the view of Ayurveda of the mind, it's really considered this very subtle matter, but it holds residue of what we've resisted in life. We store unprocessed emotions in our tissues, the issues in the tissues. And these lead to psychosomatic imbalances, which become eventually dis-ease in the tissues. When we decide to listen to grief instead of avoiding it, we can ask questions. Where does it live in the body? What is it saying without words? And be with what is. Sometimes it may feel like pressure in the chest. Sometimes it will feel like an ache in the belly, a tightness in the throat. It may feel like lifetimes of burden, but we can give it love. We can give it attention so it can heal. All wounds can heal. And actually, this is the foundation of compassionate inquiry. It's gentle, it's curious, and it provides that safety and self-trust. Trust in oneself, beginning to learn how to trust oneself and to trust one's experience. There's a process called somatic inquiry. We notice, we breathe, and we allow. So we can gently say, I'm safe to feel this now. I don't have to push this away. And breath becomes the medicine. Breath becomes the bridge into merging the heart and the mind together. Breath is healing. And the more we breathe, the more the pain can soften. It doesn't disappear. It's that we can hold space for it. It's that we can be with it. And in this practice, we can unearth whatever other emotions are woven into that grief, whether it's anger or guilt or shame or fear, whatever it is. Grief, it's not one thing, it's many things. It's so many layers. It's so complex. But every layer holds a key to healing if we can be present with it. One of the things that I actually realized, it's profound over time, it took me a long time to figure this out, is that a lot of the grief wasn't just mine. I could feel this weight of unspoken sorrow, grief from generations, from my ancestors who never had the space, the grace, the privilege to really grieve. They were stuck in survival mode. They didn't have a framework in which to grieve. So one of the most profound awakenings in my grief journey was realizing that some of this pain's not mine. And that came through meditative inquiry, through the breath work, through somatic awareness. And then I could realize that ancestral grief, it had a pattern, it had a signature. The wounds, the emotional imprints that were passed down had very specific meanings and very specific ways of manifesting. In Vedic astrology and Vedic philosophy and Ayurveda, this is also talked about, the karmic inheritance called Pitru dosha, what we inherited, the ancestral imprint through the bloodline. Grief is definitely inherited. Emotions are passed down like heirlooms, okay? In the Vedic tradition, when we honor our ancestors, there's a process called tarpanam. It's a ritualistic offering to the ancestors. We can heal 7 generations. One of the greatest things that we can offer is to feel what they could not. We have the unfathomable blessing and responsibility to heal ancestral trauma because we're aware of it. And we can give voice to their pain if we're willing to feel deep enough. And wherever they are in their soul journey, they can be freed of it. If one person, it's said that when one person becomes free, when one person heals, when one person becomes awake, in every indigenous tradition, Vedic tradition, First Nation traditions, 7 generations forwards, backwards, gets healed. That's profound. And if we're aware, if we're talking, if you're listening to this, you're aware enough that we can take on this responsibility, the ability to respond to what is right now. You know, some of the sorrow I discovered wasn't born in my current life. It was my ancestors who survived trauma. It was lineages who endured poverty, betrayal, exile, generations who had to stay strong for their children but could not go into their own pain. Their unspoken sorrow showed up in my body, in my brother's body, in my sibling's body, in my cousin's body. When I was able to feel it fully, that's when it could be alchemized. Not just healing my grief, but releasing something that was more collective. Grief isn't personal. It's not just personal. It's a collective grief. We have grief on the planet. Every time someone gets killed in war, someone gets killed by violence, the whole planet grieves, the earth grieves, the tree grieves. We're grieved together. It's collective, it's transgenerational, it's personal. We have to allow ourselves to somehow metabolize this sorrow so we could feel something in ourselves soften and be open. And then we become empathic and we become compassionate towards everyone because we're all in this together. And we all do well when we all do well. We all succeed when we all succeed. In one of the Buddhist traditions, it's considered that you get enlightened and then you make a vow, the bodhisattva vow, to keep coming back over and over and over again until every being is free, because you are every being and you're not actually free until everyone is free. So we all heal when we all heal. We don't heal in isolation, sitting in a dark room, going over our thoughts about what happened to us. We heal together. We can become channels for healing our lineages, for the land, for the collective memory of the whole planet and the whole human race. This is what yoga is off the mat. It's karma yoga. We're processing the emotions of the past through conscious presence here in this moment. And it can become a beautiful ceremony. It can become so beautiful, honoring their pain, feeling the blessings from their suffering. Healing not ourselves, healing everyone who came before us, who got us here today. One of the sacred truths I came to understand through this process was that grief isn't the absence of something. It's the presence of love. Grief is love that has nowhere to go. It just gets stuck. It's not, grief isn't just pain. It's love trying to find form again. It's tears. It's the ache. It's the longing. It's all of it. And it all points to one thing, that we actually care. How deeply connected we all are. How profound life is, that it can touch us in such a deep way. There is beauty within that grief. The heaviness, the longing, the tears, all of it arises because we actually love deeply, and it's so painful. Because something actually matters to us. Because life matters. Because life touches us in a profound way. Grief in this way is no longer a curse. It's not a burden. It's a testament to meaning. It's a testament to love. In Tantra, we learn that all experience, even the pain, can be a portal into awakening. In the darkness of grief, a light emerges when we become present. A deeper softness emerges. An expanded heart emerges. A remembrance of our soul emerges. And through grief, if we can become present through this grief process, we stop asking, how do I fix it? How do I make it go away? We ask something way more important. How is this shaping me? What deeper truth is born through this? And how can I grow from it? And how can I remember my own innate beauty and my own innate wholeness? The yogis talk about rasa, the essence or emotional juice or flavor of life. And one of the rasas is compassion born from sorrow. It's called karuna, compassion born from sorrow. And to grieve is to truly experience the full spectrum of life. And it means we've allowed ourselves to live with an open heart. Then we can experience this karuna, this compassion from sorrow. We can be with another person in their pain. We can be present with another person without collapsing. Likewise, in the Ayurvedic model of the gunas, the sattva, the rajas, the tamas, grief can lead us through all stages. Tamas of inertia, the rajas of activity, and into that peace, clarity, light of sattva. When grief hits us and we're not aware, we go into a tamasic inertia state. We can be debilitated in bed, just wallowing in sorrow. Or we can do a rajasic activity, go get the alcohol, go get the tequila, go get the whiskey, go get the sex, go get the shopping, go get whatever it is to distract ourselves. But finally, we move into that pure clarity, that pure light, that pure peace. But there's a process. There's an alchemy to it. We first have to feel heavy and stuck. Okay? We have to become aware that we were unaware. Okay? If we're not aware that we're unaware, there's nowhere to go. We have to first feel heavy and stuck. And then we have to realize that we don't want to be heavy and stuck. We want to be light and free. So then we begin to breathe and move that energy through yoga, through Ayurveda, through so many different methods, through somatic experiencing, through pranic breath work, through pranic healing, through so many things. And from that energy moving out, the clarity emerges, a deeper sense of ourself beyond the loss. Who we are is not what has it happened to us. Who we are is not what we think about what happened to us. Who we are is pure consciousness. In my life, grief actually made me more human. It also made me more divine. I'm not saying I'm divine being, but we're all divine. But grief both allowed me to have more humanness and more divinity, to see the humanness and divinity in everyone else. And it showed me where love lives. It showed me where love lives in my own body, in my heart, and what I actually want in this world and what I want to create in this world. So moving from fragmentation to wholeness, we have to give up the myth that healing means that grief disappears. Healing really actually means that we become spacious enough to carry the grief without it defining us. That it's not who we are. Who we are is love. Again, grief does not vanish. It integrates. It lives in us differently over different periods of our life. And eventually, if we're present, it becomes a well of empathy. It becomes this wellspring of insight. And then we have the capacity to be present. In the Bhagavad Gita, it states that that which is born must die, and that which dies must be born again. Grief invites us into the cycle of death and rebirth, not just externally. That's not what I'm actually talking about. It's an internal death and rebirth. Something dies and something is born. Our grief becomes compost for organic soil to make organic, beautiful roses and organic vegetables. And what is reborn of it is a soft heart, a clear purpose, a soul aligned with truth. That's our dharma, our swadharma, what we're here to do. So really, from the Vedic perspective, healing, period, it's not about getting over something or fixing something. It's about integration, bringing all the parts of ourself together into wholeness, allowing the grief to be a river of empathy, allowing grief to teach more gentleness, to pause, to speak more truthfully with awareness. Grief taught me that sadness isn't the opposite of awakening. It's actually a process of awakening. Sadness, the pain from not being held enough, not being loved enough, not being given enough attention. That sadness became a portal into my own tuning into being more present, more alive, more attuned to what matters. And what matters to me is love, connection, truth, empathy, stillness, compassion. That's what matters. That's what matters when the heart awakens and when the grief is integrated. It's not going to go away. It's part of us, but it's not us. It doesn't define us. So I want to close with a practice, a gentle practice that will help us in grief integration, integrating our grief in a conscious way with being just really gentle with yourself. And if you're not ready for this, okay, no problem. When you're ready, it's here for you. You can come back to this podcast anytime. Wherever you are, unless you're driving in a car, you can do this when you get home. But wherever you are, bring your awareness into your body and feel your feet, feel your body, feel the ground beneath you, even if you're in a high rise somewhere. Feel the ground beneath your feet through the concrete, through the buildings. And then place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And feel your breath. Just breathe for a few minutes. Breathe in, breathe out. Allow the breath to soften the body. Allow the breath to soften the mind. Being completely here and present in this moment. And if you feel safe, if it feels safe to you, say to yourself silently or out loud, I allow myself to feel. I allow myself to feel. Inhale that and exhale that. Grief is not my enemy, it's my teacher. Grief is not my enemy, it's my teacher. Inhale that and exhale that. I honor what was and I open to what is becoming. I honor what was and I open to what is becoming. Inhale and let it go. Grief is not a problem. It is a path. Grief is not a problem. It is a path. Inhale and release. I honor the love that lives through my sadness. I honor the love that lives through my sadness. Inhale that and really let it go. I open to the wholeness that is unfolding within me. I open to the wholeness that is unfolding within me. Inhale completely and completely let it go. You can do this anytime. And let your breath hold you. Let your body ground you. And let your soul, your spirit, your consciousness guide you. Really let every breath carry you back into the present moment. And let your body hold what your mind doesn't yet understand or is only beginning to understand. If we allow it, grief can change us in good ways. It can deepen us. It can awaken us. And it can really make our lives more sacred than ever before. But it requires awareness. It requires love. It requires compassion and empathy. And it requires breath. And it requires letting go of the judgment. It's good, bad, right, wrong. That it's a problem to be fixed. It is a sacred messenger. Okay. Thank you for walking this path with me today. Let's keep creating a world where our pain, our trauma, our grief, it's not hidden, it's held. And the pain isn't to be feared, it's to be honored. And if today spoke to your heart, share it with someone who may need it. Probably that's everyone. We all need it. We all need reminders. We all need to be seen, to be heard, to acknowledge that it's okay to sometimes not be okay, and that we're all just a work in progress, and we're divine. Okay. Remember, healing isn't a destination. It's a return to our wholeness, and that takes time. Okay. So until next time, be tender with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Breathe into what's real. And really remember, grief is not the end. It's a threshold. And beyond that is beauty. So breathe that in. Breathe in your beauty. Breathe deep. Feel it fully and trust your unfolding. And until next time, fill your heart with love and try to express that in every thought, word, and action. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.